Oh boy, this is a powerful clip. We're so used to seeing the protesters, the ones screaming out, heckling, being the anti-Israel, hateful activists. But in this case, the tables are turned. Because this is an event with Peter Beinart, and you can see over there in the corner. There he is. If you have a look, he's sort of hiding behind the pillar. You'll see him in a second, late in the later video. There he is. Who is an anti-Israel activist who just came out with a new book called Being Jewish After the Destruction of Gaza, a reckoning. There's no reckoning to be had. The only reckoning that there is to be had is about supporting the Palestinian cause, which has proven itself to be not about genuine self-determination, but simply about violent anti-Semitic hatred. And anyway, he's there on a panel with Karen Attiah, who is also an anti-Israel activist. And she retweeted, she's confronted by this woman here, who is clearly a pro-Israel Christian. And she confronts her and says, you retweeted something that basically showed support for the October 7th attacks, rape, mutilation, kidnapping, murder, beheading, burning, with a tweet that basically said, you know, this is decolonization on October 7th. And she confronts her. This is a powerful clip of someone standing up for the truth and for what's right and for what's moral. Have a watch.
Post, I'm responsible for it. You know what I'm saying? If I'm woman enough to post something, I have to be held accountable to the statements that I post. So what I want to ask you, I want to ask you a question of how do you correspond or reconcile your Christianity when on October the 7th, you retweeted this, you said, what? You liked the retweet, you liked the tweet, and you said, what did you think decolonization meant? Vibes, papers, essays, losers. You like that retweet. I want to just explain to you.
I can answer your question.
No. I will explain to you what happened so we can be very clear. Rape happened. How do you reconcile that with rape? How the hell do you reconcile that with a woman being raped? She was raped. She was Shani Luke. Her body was taken away. Is rape okay with you?
Can we actually?
No, rape is okay with you. You damn jihad. It is okay with you to rape a Jewish woman.
I think you should answer.
Wow. And then she was escorted out afterwards. But she basically says, you're a terrorist, you're a jihadi. And there she is walking out.
Treat it like such. Thank you. You're a bitch.
And it is just, you can see from here that Attiah basically said she makes no apologies for her rhetoric supporting the October 7th attacks and says the backlash is because she's black. Meanwhile, you have Peter Beinart grinning while sitting at her side. This man is a Jew, let's not forget, who has clearly got a very severe case of Stockholm Syndrome. Have a watch.
About my commentary and how I make no apologies for standing on the side of Palestinian liberation at all. That's all I'm saying.
Makes no apologies and gets claps in the room for her support of saying that the October 7th massacre against the Jewish people and Israelis, the worst attack on the Jewish people since the Holocaust, which revealed that they're not trying to dismantle a state, but they are trying to kill Jews and Israelis. And therefore, we can see the truth of the Palestinian cause. So let's continue.
And I believe my role and responsibility as not only a journalist but as a human being has been to, just like you said, Peter, to speak about our struggles as interconnected, because I truly and deeply do believe that. As someone who grew up here, as someone who, yes, my mother is a genocide survivor of the Biafra War. Wow. Right? So none of these things are abstract to me. None of them. So, and we didn't even get to that. That's the first time I've had an actual Twitter troll. But I mean, I do think, I hope this is actually an example of the backlash of how violent the social media discourse is, how violent it is, the response is to anyone who speaks about Israel-Palestine, and frankly, I have to say, particularly Black. So to me, there's nothing more that I can say or respond to other than, now this is a live example of how difficult this is, but I haven't bowed. I still write what I write because it's the right thing to do. And,
No apology. No apology
as
whatsoever.
Someone, whose I think book is very unequivocal in my condemnation of the violence of October 7th that targeted civilians.
There you go. At least he has an ounce of decency to condemn what happened on October 7th.
That I am someone who's known Karen for a long time and followed your work for a long time. I feel like the message that comes through in your writing is a message about universal human dignity.
Okay, but he's just been sitting there next to her where she's not really apologizing for what this woman's saying about the tweet that she liked. Did it not occur to him to think, well, hold on a second. I condemn what happened on October 7th. So therefore, surely it is unacceptable for me to be standing next to someone, giving her legitimacy and credibility if she doesn't agree with me on this point. Is he going to wake up and realize this? That the things he's supporting, he thinks, well, I'm trying to play both sides. Of course I'm going to condemn Hamas, but I condemn Israel because I want to be liked by that whole dinner party, elitist, progressive club. What's happening? It's amazing. Over the past year or so, many people, Jewish people and people of good conscience, have been waking up to the realities and the delusions that we were laboring under about the Palestinian cause and two-state solutions and all these things. But even someone like Beinart, I just wonder, will anything be enough for him to have a wake-up call? To realize that he can kid himself into thinking, no, it's just genuinely about self-determination and resistance. But then there he is next to someone he thought was an ally, was a friend, maybe, who doesn't seem to be condemning October 7th. Meanwhile, he feels he has to state that. I wonder, will he wake up? I just wonder. My sense is, when you've dug such a big hole for yourself for so long, you've put your whole career on this narrative, it's going to be very, very hard to change. I had a fascinating interview with Rabbi Manis Friedman a few months ago. He's YouTube's most popular rabbi. And obviously, as a YouTuber, that's a title I respect. Although actually, that's not the main reason I respect him. I respect him because of his incredible wisdom. And I asked him, it says in the Talmud, the rabbis said, let the Messiah come, let Moshiach come. In other words, a perfect world, a world of goodness, godliness, and truth, and peace. It says, let the Messiah come, but let me not see it. And I always wondered, what does that mean, let me not see it? And the typical commentaries and explanations I heard on this was basically to say it's going to be a very turbulent time, a difficult time. And I said to him, does that mean we're going to be facing a lot of turbulence? And also, these are great rabbis. Does a bit of war and physical discomfort really scare them that much? People that are living on such high spiritual planes? And he said, no, actually, the big war that's going to happen is not on the battlefield of war, of the military war, but actually the ideological war, the war for truth. What is true and what is false? And what's going to happen as we get close to Moshiach is people are going to realize the falsehoods of their false gods, of their false narratives, false ideologies, and come to realize the truth. But for people who are so stuck in their ways, so stuck in their particular narratives about the world, going to be very, very painful. Imagine you've dedicated your whole life to something and it turns out to be false. Rabbi Friedman said, when the rabbi said, "Let me not see it," what they're referring to is seeing all that pain that people are going to have to go through, emotional pain, of seeing the falsehoods of what they've been living for. That is what the rabbis didn't want to see. That's so painful. It's an incredible insight. For me, I'll be honest, it's given that I was already incredibly sympathetic, supportive, allied to, a part of the Jewish people, the nation, the Jewish nation, it obviously wasn't so difficult for me to recognize certain truths. I was a little bit toyed with the idea of a two-state solution and whatever prior to October 7th, just because I thought maybe we have to live in a world of pragmatism to some extent. But no more after October 7th. But what's been an interesting thing for me to see is some people who are prepared to change their ways, are prepared to look at things objectively, and for people who are digging their heels in, despite the truth being clearer than ever. It will continue to become clearer, but that will also mean that it will continue to become even more painful to see those who simply aren't prepared to give up their false gods. Thank you so much for watching. To watch another one, click here. To stay up to date with all our content, click here to subscribe. And if you're able to, you can help support JTV to grow and grow by clicking join below this video, where you can become a member and get perks including early access to videos and private live discussions with me. But most of all, you'll be partnering with us on our mission to change the world.